Viewers, day 2 of the Karnataka High Court hearing into this entire hijab matter ended without any real conclusion. Most people expected some kind of an order. They expected an interim order giving relief to the students, as the court would have taken some time to decide over whether wearing a hijab is part of an essential practice of the faith. However, viewers, the judge, in all his wisdom, decided to refer this matter to a larger bench of the Karnataka High Court. The ball now is in the Chief Justice of the Karnataka High Court's court, and he will decide when and who to assign to hearing this matter next. We are, of course, awaiting word. The petitioners came out and said, viewers, that forget about for the moment ascertaining whether wearing of hijab constitutes an essential practice. Let's first look at the administrative law, whether the state is within its rights to even issue such an order. Of course, viewers, there are panoply of issues, and we have with us two very persuasive minds in the shape of Dr. Subramanian Swamy and Mr. Majeed Memon. They had been also on the show earlier, viewers, in the day, but not together. Today we hope to have an interesting discussion with the two of them. Let me first ask Dr. Swamy. Dr. Swamy, first things first, what did you make of the Karnataka High Court's decision to refer this matter to a larger bench?
Well, I think it's judicial wisdom, because they know that whichever the judgment they give, there is going to be a reaction. The atmosphere is hot. And I think they did a wise thing by postponing it. But for that, they had to have a good excuse, and they said they have a larger bench. I don't see that. I think this requires more a solution, not from the court, but by well-meaning citizens of India who are well-based in the country, who have influence, and they must come to an understanding that this is what India is all about, and then exchange views on that. Of
course, that could take years, even decades. And yes, while one can think about leaving the question of reforms out of the court and in the domain of clergy or other wise individuals, we all know that they would try to favor the status quo, as we have seen internationally also. Well, of course, we would all want reform done through consensus, but sometimes reforms...
May I interrupt you here?
Of course, Dr. Swamy, go ahead.
We had a case of running on the Kerala matter of Sabarimala.
Yes.
And in the end, when the judgment came out, a large section of people said, we won't accept it. So it went back to the Supreme Court. And then they did some gerrymandering, so to speak, and then it came back. I mean, the courts are, we are overstraining the courts by putting all this. This has to be settled by the Hindus and Muslims of India.
Hindus and Muslims of India. Well, let me tell you, even between Muslims and Muslims, this issue has not been settled. And if you go and look across the world, viewers, in the Middle East, in some North African countries where there are significant number of Muslims or a Muslim majority, bans have been put in place on external coverings of women, and they have been revoked, even close to home. You have seen the case of Afghanistan, of course, Kashmir. the valley that at one time did not subscribe to external body coverings, then was pushed back into this practice by hardline elements, by terror organizations. Asya Andrabi threatened women and said, I will throw acid on your face, etc., if you don't comply with the directive to cover up. So viewers, even Muslim societies have struggled, let alone Hindus and Muslims. Let's open this up, because these are important questions, of course. And now that the matter is in court, I suppose one will have to see this matter going through the rigors of a judicial test. Now, I want to bring you in, Mr. Majeed Memon. I want to ask you a very basic question. Have secular parties prioritized the wearing of the hijab over education? That's a fundamental question that I want to ask you. Majeed Saab, can you hear me? Okay, we're having a few problems, I think, with Majeed Memon. Let me ask this question
Rahul,
of Dr.
Rahul,
Yes,
yes, Rahul,
yes, you can
I
hear
have
me.
heard you partly, but I'll answer what you have asked.
Okay.
First, I must thank you and Times Rao for giving me this opportunity to meet my friend Swamiji, whom I have not been meeting for quite some time because I am no more there with him. We have spent some good time together in Rajya Sabha, and I admire him for his openness, and I believe that he is an exceptional BJP leader who may have more friends outside BJP than inside BJP, because I know him very closely, and I think he would agree with that. But anyway, now let us come to the subject. Now, see, wearing of hijab and Islamic mandate. Let us look at it even in a practical way. In India, 50% of population is women, and out of them, 50% population of Muslims also, say about 200 million or thereabout. So we have about 100 million Muslim women. Now, do you think that in your own personal experience, Rahul, you or Swamiji, you, that all Muslim women are wearing hijab? No, it's not so. It is not compulsory. It is your choice. Islam doesn't impose upon a Muslim woman that, look here, if you don't wear hijab all the time, the moment you step out of the house, you are a sinner or you will be sent to hell. There's nothing like that. You see, hijab is optional, but conversely, I must tell you, which is relevant for our today's debate, that if a woman chooses to wear hijab, can you stop her? You see, that's the crux of the matter. You see, now when we talk of the students, when we talk of school and colleges, girls, first thing I must get it clear here in our discussion. It is definitely going to be a very constructive discussion, because we are going to, in a wider frame of mind, getting out of political ideologies and also religious fanaticism. We would be discussing it with a broad mind. So I would want Swamiji also to endorse what I say or disagree with what I am saying. Now, if hijab is not compulsory in Islam for every woman, as we see, number of women are following fashions. There are girls who are doing some kinds of profession which may not have been permitted in Islam, like singing or music or all that thing. Therefore, if we look at take a practical view of the Indian society, Muslim women in India, Muslim girls, then they are not compulsorily made to wear hijab. And as I said, conversely, if certain girls feel that they need to cover their bodies and prevent them from being seen by other men, other boys, then what objection should you have? Now I come back to school uniform. As far as this controversy is concerned, if you see what Muskan has said to the television and to the whole country yesterday after she became a heroine for 24 hours when she jumped in the midst of saffron-clad, men who were a bit rowdy, and yet, fearlessly, she just challenged them, etc. So all channels were showing her, and I had the occasion to speak to her. Therefore, I am just telling you what she has said. Please remember that she made it very clear that I wear hijab when I step out of my house in order to see that no men who are forbidden by law by my religion, see me except my face. See, my whole body has to be covered. She covers it. She enters the school compound with hijab, but the moment she enters classroom where a uniform is compulsory, she takes out hijab. And then in the classroom, she is following the uniform rule. What should be the difficulty with either the school administration or with some people from BJP or anybody else, or those saffron-clad men who were creating all kinds of noise, not allow her to enter the campus? Why should this be made a prestige? Why should this be made, if I tell Subramanian Swamy, please don't wear this this color jacket, I cannot tell him that. It is his choice. He is doing it. Now, bleach of uniform is, I understand, you see, if the school uniform in which this disputed school is that you wear black shoes, you wear white socks, you wear certain color shirt or kurta and certain color shalwar, well, if that she has breached, she must be pulled up for that. But if she is following that, and over that, if she's covering her body in order to prevent it from being seen by unknown people, men, what should be your objection? I don't understand. Where is the breach of discipline or uniform also? And why do you want all this kind of undertaking? We will follow that and we will not wear hijab. Well, I think this is crossing the line and being a bit harsh.
There are some misconceptions here that we need to clear up, Majeed Saab. First of all, no one is stopping Muslim women from donning the hijab anywhere else. There has been no injunction of that kind. There has been no direction of that kind. It is only about... It is only about the classroom. When you come into the classroom, the moment the school invoked, and by virtue of the powers mentioned in Rule 11 of the Karnataka Educational Institutions, Rules 1995, the pre-university college made it compulsory to have its own uniform for the students. And the powers confirmed by subsection 1 of section 145 of the Karnataka Education Act 1983 prescribes for the educational institutions in Karnataka, and let me read out Rule 11 to 15. Every recognized education institution may specify its own set of uniform. Such uniform, once specified, shall not be changed within the period of 5 years. When an education institution intends to change the uniform as specified in sub-rule 1 above, it shall issue notice to parents in this regard at least 1 year in advance. Purchase of uniform clothing and textbooks from the school or from shop, etc., suggested by school authorities, and stitching of uniform clothing with the tailor suggested by school authorities shall be at the option of the students or his parents. The school authority shall make no compulsion in this regard. The institutions have been following the uniform dress code, sir, for several years. You can see that there has been photographic evidence as far back as just last year, so as recently as last year. And the parents were also made fully aware of the uniform system that was adopted in the college, sir. Yet, when students were wearing hijabs were prevented from going into the classroom, they stood outside the gates and started protesting, saying that hijab is our fundamental right. So it's in a very limited environment where this matter has taken or was sought to be implemented, and now it has been expounded into, and if you just follow what certain parties are saying, pehle hijab fir kitab. Now this is very dangerous, sir. And Dr. Swami, when you say pehle hijab,
why do you take such silly slogans when silly slogans or dangerous slogans are flowing from both sides? Well, let us ignore such useless slogans. But let me just, before when you said, you see, uniform would mean wearing a certain attire, but it would not mean that don't wear hijab. This is what I am asking. My argument is this.
No, but sir, on this issue,
may I put a correction here?
Yeah, a correction. Dr. Swami wants to add a correction here. Okay, Dr. Swami, please.
Yeah, Dr. Just 1 minute, one more minute. See, Rahul, what you said, I am only requesting you to please reconsider that I am not supporting a girl, Muslim girl, that she should violate the rule of uniform. She should follow it, wear the uniform from head to bottom. But in addition, if she is covering her body till she enters the classroom, what objection should you have? Please explain that to me.
Not me, sir. The college and the school has expressed reservations on that. And they have said that, look, this violates certain basic issues. Number one, integration, oneness, fraternity, brotherhood, which should be prompted because of the wearing of a uniform within an institution. In educational institutions, students should not be allowed to wear identifiable religious symbols or dress code catering to their religious beliefs and faith. Allowing this practice would lead to a student acquiring a distinctive, identifiable feature which is not conducive for the development of the child and academic environment. And therefore, in a large number of advanced democracies worldwide, this principle has been followed also, sir. That is what...
Rahul, this argument is...
No, Memon, let me give me just one interjection here.
Yeah.
This
See,
argument
the question
is
of
merits.
on the question of a uniform requirement. Is there any...
Will you...
Wait a minute.
Not to wear a turban,
Wait
because
a
he
minute.
would be identifying himself belonging to another religion.
No, wait a minute.
Your theory applies to him. It doesn't apply to him.
No, how do you know it doesn't apply?
Sardar can always
How do you know?
identify.
No.
How do you say?
No,
that
one second,
your
sir.
religious identity-
No one has said...
You can ask me to leave.
No,
By
Mr. Menon,
wearing a hijab-
I have not had a chance
by-
to-
by
let him
wearing a hijab,
respond. Let
he
Dr.
identifies
Memon
himself to be
Saab-
belonging to Islam,
Memon
and this is
Saab-
objective.
Memon Saab, 1 minute. Let Dr. Swami respond because we want to have a
please.
constructive conversation.
Most
I'll come
welcome.
back to the point on the Sikh
I
faith.
would be enlightened to listen to you on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Dr. Swami. Dr. Swami.
You see, first of all, schools are not the only place where they prescribe uniform. Army prescribes uniform. Pilots in airlines, they are prescribed uniform. Nurses and doctors are also, prescribed for uniforms. The question essentially is that in the educational institution, only one part of it is saying that you have to wear a uniform. That's a school. The colleges don't have, universities don't have. Now, I would say that if you can say that in the military you have to wear a uniform, it doesn't, by wearing a hijab in, not hijab, they can't wear, but, having a mullah cap on his head, he doesn't become less of a shooter in the army. So, but still the army says, no, there is a certain degree of discipline that comes in with the obedience to a certain code. And therefore, it is there. It is there in every field of India. I don't understand in the school, if
I am
you
asking
have...
a question.
Wait a minute. If you say when you are within the school, you can't wear hijab. And I'm sure that it also applies to saffron,
Shawls.
scarves and so on and so on. You have to wear the uniform which is prescribed in their manual. And once you go out, you can wear hijab. You can go to the market with hijab. We are not stopping you. So why?
Look alike, like there is no distinction on religious grounds. Then would he agree for Hindu girls not to wear a bindi on their shirt which identifies the religion? Would you want Sikh not to wear?
Sir, the law must be applied uniformly.
Many others like
The law must be applied.
Do that.
No. So that's what I'm saying. The law must be applied uniformly to the last letter.
No.
What's the
Precisely.
problem?
See, what I'm suggesting is that what Swamiji is saying.
No, I have answered the question.
I may examine that.
You see, sir, I've answered the question. Now, if, however, the law is being applied in the breach, you can definitely move court and say that it is discrimination.
Rahul, let me tell you, even if
There's no fundamental right. What will they move on?
Now, kindly listen to me for a minute. Kindly listen to me. Just 1 minute. Kindly listen to me. Even if the schools
multiple minutes.
have made the pupils and the parents sign an undertaking to the extent that they would ask their Muslim girls not to wear hijab,
Yeah.
the same is not fair. It can be
But
challenged. and it
Majeed
can be
Memon,
set
then
aside.
why didn't the students raise this issue when they were signing the form 1
They
year
are
ago?
doing it now they would do it if they are obstructed.
go to some
They are
other school.
obstructed, and now it is challenged in the
I don't
court.
understand this. I don't understand this. Suddenly, 6 or 8 months later, there is this spontaneous protest. For 8 months, they have not been wearing.
8 months there were
They've
no
been
schools.
compiling.
Rahul,
They've
what
been
are you
compiling.
talking?
Yes, sir.
If they go to
Can you
school,
allow
there
me
are
to?
8 months.
Sir, you're
What
not
are you
allowing me to
talking?
speak, sir.
What are you asking?
Now
Sir,
you can also speak.
Majeed Memon Saab, 1 minute. There are 3 things that one needs to clarify here.
Because
Majid Saab,
unauthorized
Majid Saab, in the court. Look, I don't have much time. I don't have much time. Majid Saab. Okay,
He has
Majid
a
Saab,
weak-
you've got
he
to
has a
allow other
weak
people to
case.
speak. You've got to allow other people to speak. Please, sir.
He's got
Give me.
he's got a weak case, so he has to prevent us from speaking.
Okay, so let me come in here. Sir, give me 30 seconds. Sir, show me some courtesy, please. Look, I am only saying, viewers, and this is, look, we've run out of time on this show. Unfortunately, Dr. Majeed Memon has utilized the best trick in the book, which is count down the clock. Now, we haven't got the time. So, I just have to say a couple of things. Viewers, this particular order was issued a year ago. The order was followed up with an undertaking which all students signed on to. There was no school for a long period of time. School resumed.
Till recently.
Sir, let me finish, sir. Please, let me finish.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this particular law was then enforced and we have protests. Forget about the timing of the protests. Okay? The point is not that. The point,
There is no
viewers,
protest.
1 minute,
This is
sir.
not wrong.
Sir, please allow me, sir. I just want to correct the picture on facts. That's all.
The protest is because the girls were obstructed from
Okay,
entering.
1 second.
The protest
So were
is from the
people
other
with
side.
saffron shawls, sir. Please, everyone was obstructed. This was not just one single faith that was discriminated against. Please give me 30 seconds. Viewers, it's very important to know. It's very important to know. It's very important to know that in the court today, 2 pleas were taken. Number 1, that this was done suddenly without the parents knowing, without the children knowing. That's not a fact. 1 year back, they signed on this particular letter. The letter made no mention of hijab or any overt religious sign. Tilak, shawl, saffron, nothing. It just said that the school has the right to inform a uniform to the last letter in T, and it was done. And now you have a situation where members of the minority community seeing that the hijab is integral to our faith. We must be allowed to exercise our faith under Article 25, 15, etc. And our rights, our fundamental rights, freedom, choice, etc. That's where we are at. The courts will now decide this issue. But there are precedents where the court has given the right to institutions, viewers, to enforce their uniform code to the last letter, even though those codes might ride roughshod over religious injunctions, and there are at least 5 cases on precedent. Nonetheless, I'm not getting into all of that because that the court has to now consider. I'm leaving it at this. It's been an engaging conversation. I wish it had been less interrupted, but nonetheless, we'll have other occasions to debate this, and we'll bring back our panelists. Stay tuned for the Prime Minister's interview, the first of poll season ahead of Uttar Pradesh first phase. We're right back to that. Don't go away, viewers.
I love Indian food and I love washing dishes.
पेश है 3D ऑयल क्लीन टेक्नोलॉजी वाला फेबर डिश वॉशर।
Love cooking, love